Hello everybody, my name is TechReal, and my relationship with Pokemon kind of confuses me. I really love the franchise, and I really love the concept of Pokemon as a species. Cute little crazy animals that turn into bigger crazy animals, all the different abilities and evolutions. I think it is just a fascinating species that you can infinitely add to. But when it comes to really interacting with the franchise, I haven't done it all that much. I've seen a good handful of episodes from different series, but never really completed one. I've played bits and pieces of some of the games, beat the Elite Four, but only once. Like, my love for Pokemon is vast, I can feel it in my soul, but it is something that I mostly do from afar. So yeah, I may not be very deep into this fandom, but what I do really love seeing Pokemon-wise, and what I love seeing Pokemon fans specifically do, is design their own Pokemon. Or, I guess, Fake-émon. Or as my friend Jesse suggested, Faux-kémon, which, bit clunky on paper, but like objectively an amazing pun. I don't really know what it is, I could just watch people design Pokemon all day. I've seen a lot of True Green 7 over the years, I've seen some of Harry Gold taking on the task, but my favorite is subjectively. Nothing was quite as satisfying as seeing the entire Mazda region slowly take shape, like it was a whole region of Pokemon. If you haven't seen it, I implore you to see it. It is one of my favorite series of Pokemon designs. Please go watch that. But you know, after this video, you know. So with all this love of Pokemon designing in me, and the fact that I enjoy doing art myself, I decided I wanted to take on the task of designing my own Pokemon, specifically 3 starter Pokemon. I just like starter Pokemon the best. They're just so small and cute and good, and I like it. Also, I think it's a really good beginner set, you know, 3 very specific typings to work with. You know what you're getting into. But I want to design my Pokemon, or Fake-émon, or Pokemon, with a twist. That twist being, I want them all to have an art theme. Going back to the Mazda region, I like seeing designs with a sort of core theming, something to connect them all together, to sort of unify them and make it feel like, okay, these all came from the same general area, the same region. And I really like art, so I figured that that would be a fun thing to try to tie them together with. Now, of course, I'm not just gonna slap a beret and a paintbrush on some Pokemon, because, you know, they did that already. That's Smeargle. As lazy as I just made that sound, he's adorable and I love him. But I want the art theming in my designs to be a slight bit more subtle. Like you look at one and you think, oh okay, that's just a normal everyday Pokemon, and then suddenly it gets all artsy and you're like, oh my god, that's a beautiful masterpiece you've made, little Pokemon. So that's the basic idea, but before I get started, I feel like I should be consulting someone who knows a bit more about Pokemon than me. Which, you know, is most Pokemon fans, to be fair. But I decided to go with my friend EJ. I sent them a message asking what do they think makes a good Pokemon starter. And here's what they said. 1, they should always be based on a real animal. 2, they gotta be cute and friend-shaped. 3, don't go too edgy. Don't do it. And 4, they all come with a gimmick. I'll be keeping all this in mind as I design, and I'll be checking in with EJ as I go, just to make sure everything's looking Pokemon enough. So let's get started with my first Pokemon design, my grass-type starter, which I'm deciding will be a Jackalope. What was that? Oh! Yeah, no, I kind of broke the rules immediately. Oops. Let me explain. First of all, and this is true for all of the Pokemon today, but I started designing them 5 years ago. This is kind of an old idea that I'm turning into a new idea, so back when I decided Jackalope, that was kind of before the rules were in place, and I kind of didn't really know what I was doing. And secondly, I wanted to make a bunny Pokemon really badly. I like bunnies so much. But there haven't been any animal repeats in starters so far, and we already have my favorite boy, Score Bunny, there, so I couldn't just go with a normal bunny. So I went with Jackalopes, which, you know, are fictional. But, you know, I figure there's plenty of bird varieties across the starters, and you know, what is a jackalope really, other than another variety of rabbit? You know, a jackrabbit as opposed to a more traditional white rabbit. It just happens to also have antlers now. Because it's Pokemon, not because it's a jackalope inherently. It's supposed to be a jackrabbit. Just let me have this. I want this so bad. Alright, so here are the original sketches from 5 years ago. So right off the bat, I knew I wanted to do a sort of pencil-like antler. That felt like the move. You know, pointy pencil, pointy antler. Felt like it made sense. I was trying to figure out exactly how to incorporate that at this point. There was also this little weird gremlin. I don't know what that is. That was honestly probably the first sketch of, like, bunny-like Pokemon I was thinking of, and what even is this one? What is this goof face? So we got here, I was pivoting towards the correct shape. I started curving the antlers inwards instead of going straight up. I was experimenting with some bunny ears, and I was getting sort of close to something I liked a bit better. I started really pushing the leaf texture in this sort of bushy head, and started trying out these leaf ears. There was this, that one is a demon, I swear to God. And finally we got here. I solidified something in pen. I added a flower on top just to sort of help make it a little bit less, I don't know, it was looking a little too plain up there. I felt like it needed something once I removed the ears. I don't really know why I decided to remove the ears. I just felt like at the time it looked better without them. I went to digital art to make this finalized version, which I was very happy with for quite a while, before, I believe it was last year, when I was throwing this Pokemon onto Art Fight, where I decided, you know what, I miss those ears. I miss those ears greatly. So we're gonna throw back in the ears. I felt like, as I was looking at the design after, you know, a couple years, I realized it really wasn't giving rabbit at all, let alone jackalope. It just kind of looked like a bush with horns, or antlers. So yeah, threw the ears back into the mix, and that's where we've been for a while now, until now. So let's get on to the new stuff. So as we get into the updated sketches, there's not really much I want to change. It's more little details, like for the antlers, I want to change their orientation a bit. I feel like the shape they were originally didn't give as much jackalope, and whereas the original had a sort of basic blue generic flower sitting on the head, I wanted to opt instead for a cherry blossom. Cherry blossoms are one of my favorite types of trees ever. They're beautiful. I love the way that cherry blossom petals fall from the trees, and the flowers, it's a magical tree. It is just a fascinating, my eyes, I love them. I love them. There's one right near my house, thank God, and I just love them. And since Pokemon is originally from Japan, and cherry blossoms are so popular in Japan, it was a nice little connection that I thought would work really well. So I finished up the sketch, I tested out some colors, and then I sent it off to EJ for some feedback. Basically, they liked it, but they said the eyes weren't really feeling very Pokemon. So after a little trial and error, I fixed them up, got here, and now we can move on to the final lines and color. Since the main designing is out of the way, we can now ask the question, who is this Pokemon? Well, this is Leporink, the name being a mix of leporids, the species family of rabbits, and ink. Their antlers constantly drip drops of this ink-like sap at various intervals, at different amounts, kind of randomly, which is why their feet are permanently stained with the stuff, because they're constantly stepping in it. And as for why their paws are stained with it, it's because they like to use this ink to draw with. Leporinks are constantly drawing little pictures, just about anywhere they can, on rocks, on trees, even leaves from their own bushy head. Some of the drawings they tend to do are for navigation, for either themselves or maybe even other Leporinks, just so that, you know, they can mark out different landmarks, where to go. But most of them are just basically for fun. They just kind of like making little pictures. It's just sort of their thing. As for their personalities, Leporinks are naturally very timid, prone to freezing and or running the moment it thinks it's in trouble. Trainers tend to struggle to catch them. Their social anxiety is way up to the max. They tend to prefer alone time rather than, you know, being in big groups, especially when drawing. Despite all that, they do crave a connection. They're just, you know, bad at establishing one, which, you know, mood. But when they do find someone they're itching to connect with, sometimes, to reach out, they'll leave a little drawing for them, as a sort of hello, a little gift. So if you're ever sitting there one day and you happen to find a little drawing on a leaf next to your foot, a Leporink might just want to be friends with you. And yeah, that's Leporink, the final design. I am so absolutely ecstatic with how this looks. Again, it's not too different from what I had before, but it just feels better, a little bit more solidified, a bit better balanced with color. I think the pink does a lot to help that. I just think he looks adorable. But here's the question. Does it fit with EJ's tips? One, always based on a real animal. Well, you know, kind of. Jackrabbit, that happens to have antlers because it's a Pokemon, you know, just happens to be a jackalope for those reasons. 2, cute and friend-shaped. I think it's safe to say we're there. 3, not too edgy. I'm pretty sure Leporink fears edgy, so I think we're good. And 4, the gimmick, their antlers dripping ink that they tend to draw with. So yeah, I think we've basically fit into all the tips, more or less. So we've heard all about them, but now, why don't we hear one in action? I happen to have found the audio of the very first Leporink being discovered by a trainer. Let's take a listen. Oh my god, guys, I think I found a new one. Listen to this.
Leporink, ink, ink.
It's just sitting there, drawing. I can't really see what. I'm gonna see if I can get a bit closer. Shit. No, it's okay, little buddy. Everything's fine. I'm not bad. I promise. Just no, please wait. Come back. I like your drawing. If you're wondering, yes, I was the trainer, and if you're wondering, no, I have not emotionally recovered. Anyways, let's get on to the next Pokemon. Next up is my water-type starter, who is going to be a Manatee, except it was originally going to be a cow. So I knew right off the bat that I really liked the idea of cow. I really like cows, and I figured that, you know, cows with their udders would be a good vessel for water blasts and things that you would have for a water-type Pokemon. It felt like a natural idea, but as I was trying a bunch of things, I sort of realized that this was just a cartoon cow. And of course, you know, there are Pokemon that kind of just look like cartoon versions of animals, but I wasn't quite satisfied with this. This little guy's satisfied. Look how proud he is. Look at him standing up on his own. Oh, good boy. I kept trying to push the water from the udders being a bigger thing than it was to try to enforce that water typing, but it wasn't really working. So what I decided was to go sort of this like mer-cow energy. I figured that, you know, sea cows are a thing. Sea cows, otherwise known as manatees. And I figured if I sort of mixed cow and sea cow into this sort of like weird fusion idea, a little bit literal cow, a little bit more on the seaside, it would work a bit better as a Pokemon design. There's also this guy, which even at the time I seemed very confused by. It was a momentary thought, and what a nightmare it is, but I also really love him. So I finally settled into this sort of mer-cow, sea cow with these bubble udders that would sort of showcase the water stored inside, and you know, it worked for the time, but even then I could sort of tell that as much as I kind of liked it, I wasn't sold on it. I did do a digital version, but I don't know, I just wasn't sold on the concept just yet. So when I got into the new sketching, I decided I wanted to lean a little bit more towards manatees and a bit further away from the land cow vibe. As you can see, started real rough. That I don't know what that first attempt was. It certainly was not a manatee. I call him Gerard. I don't know. It just feels correct for him. I don't know what to call him other than Gerard, because what the hell is that? Once I got something a bit better, I decided it needed something on the head, so I tried a sort of bubble flower crown of sorts. But as I kept on going, I went and switched it for some bubble horns to match the bubble udders, furthering that land cow imagery I originally wanted. I added some bubble-like spots to the body and tail to help the design seem a little less, you know, plain and empty. And I sent it off to EJ, and all was good, except he needed to be way chunkier. Manatees are thick boys, and this boy ain't nearly thick enough. So I gave the boy many treats, you know, which he very much deserves. I mean, look at him. Look how much happier he looks now that he's all full of treats. I think he's perfect. So it was then time to go on to final lines and color. And now we ask the question, who is this Pokemon? This is Tubble, the name being a mix of the words bubble and tubby, because, you know, manatees, they gotta be the tubby little baby boys. Tubbles are these absolutely insanely excitable extroverts. They're constantly seeking attention from the nearest one who will give it, whether Pokemon or trainer or anything else in between. Where Leporinks sort of run from the nearest social interaction, Tubbles will jump out and enact it. And also look for snacks from anyone who seems like they might have them, specifically colorful snacks. The thing about Tubbles is that the color from the foods that they eat will seep through their belly and into the water that is stored in their udders. They often then use this dyed water to color in the world around them. If something looks too plain, it will not for long if a Tubble's around, because they will fix it right up whether you want them to or not. They just want to make the world more colorful and can get really, really bummed out when they can't or when the area around them is a little too monochromatic. This is why they're usually not found too close to water. A little too much blue, not enough variety for their tastes. Honestly, maybe that's why they have the land cow traits of udders and horns to begin with. They prefer the surface and the wider variety of color they find on it. Also because cow traits are just cute and fun, and I like them. All in all, they are silly little rascals, but they mean well. You know, they just want to impress you by making your life a little bit more colorful. I mean, can you really be mad at this little squish? You know, even if he colors everything that you don't want him to color. Just look at him. And look at him we shall, because here's the final design of Tubble. Leporink was my baby for the longest time, and still very much is. But look at this round boy. I mean, he's just so good, and I like the color blue so much, and he's just so good. But does he fit the tips? 1, based on a real animal. Manatees, thankfully, are fully real. 2, cute and friend-shaped. I mean, look at him. Look at him. 3, not too edgy. There is not a single edgy bone in this boy's body. I think we're safe. And 4, the gimmick, land cow traits, including a bubble udder that they can use to color things in around them. Now, let's hear one in action.
So, everyone's been talking about some new Pokemon that's going around spraying colors. But I don't know. I've been following a trail of puddles for like an hour now, but... Oh, hold on. Last time I checked, birch trees aren't blue, or purple, or... Oh, there it is! Hey there, buddy. Having a little snack? Aw, such a friendly little guy. You just want some attention, don't you? Whoa there. Careful with my phone. Wait! No! My phone is colorful enough! Please don't! No!
Yeah, you know, I said they were cute. I never said they weren't a liability. Last but certainly not least, we are moving on to the fire-type starter, which I'm basing off the kiwi bird. But, originally, weirdly, the biggest difference yet, it was going to be a chinchilla. Oh dear. So, I don't know how to draw chinchillas, if that wasn't already clear from what you're seeing. I just don't know. I tried. This one, I mean, I think they all look cute enough, but no. I really liked the idea of chinchillas going in because I thought, you know, chinchillas take dust baths. I thought that would work really well with a fire type because they could burn things down, bathe in the charcoal like a dust bath, and then use that to make some sort of charcoal art. But yeah, as much as I liked the concept, I couldn't get anything that looked good. Again, cute, but like, no. I don't really know what to say at this point. Oh, we got a random unrelated Leporink, that's great. And some tail holding, that's fun and all. And we regrettably got here, which was the closest I could do to making it look like a chinchilla, kind of, and even then, does it really? One thing I forgot to mention, I added this sort of like charcoal horn at some point because it just looked a little too bland. I still hate it. I eventually went to digital art and made this, which I very much hated. I couldn't get any, I didn't know what to do with the colors. I didn't know how to make it look good. Let's fix this. Let's get this out of my soul, please. Ugh. Of course, as mentioned, the animal does change, which means this is the first one that we're really doing basically from scratch. I still really liked the idea of the dust baths, and I remembered that some birds do that. So I pivoted to kiwis, even though they don't do that. And yes, this is yet another bird starter amongst many other bird starters, but again, they're all different varieties of bird, like penguin or duck or owl, and this is just another one. Now since, as we mentioned, kiwis don't do dust baths, I decided on a new gimmick flint and steel. I decided to add some scrap metal on the sides where wings would be for any other bird, and decided that they would use flint claws from their feet to strike them, sparking a fire that their beak would be able to catch and propel flames sort of like a flamethrower. I threw in a scrap metal hat to match the bits on the sides, all meant to have come from broken Pokeballs, the hat even actually becoming a full broken half of one by the end. I sent it off to EJ, who said that not only does it not read as fire, it kinda looked like a baby Doduo, which, just hit it right on the money. That's, oof. Yeah, I don't know why I thought this was, working. I tried a bunch of different things, different recolors, reshaping, trying to figure out how to make this work. Along the way, I changed the scrap metal on the sides to Jasper stones, which can also strike sparks IRL, apparently. Plus it gives off a bit more of the fire vibe visually, which is something we desperately needed. Eventually, and I do mean eventually, this took a lot of sending back and forth and tweaking and we got here, and we could finally move on to final lines and color. And now, of course, who is this Pokemon? This is Kiwooo, named because, to quote EJ specifically, Kiwooo, like the sound a fire truck makes. When I read this for the first time, I laughed very much, and knew that there was no other option. It wasn't even worth thinking about for another second. Kiwooo was the name. It had to be. Kiwoos really like to build, using the fire that they can produce to burn through wood and even weld metal to make different types of constructs. They collect scraps basically wherever they can find them, as some birds do enjoy doing. As trainers tend to say, one man's trash is a Kiwoo's building materials. As for their personalities, as you could probably see, they're absolute grumps. Kiwoos are incredibly antisocial Pokemon, perpetually bothered by the presence of other trainers, other Pokemon, just anything that is anywhere close to their space, they do not tend to love. You have to be really careful around them, and especially their creations, because they have intensely bad tempers. They're little ticking time bombs just waiting to strike. You know, they haven't killed a trainer yet, but you know, first degree burns have been known to happen. Sometimes second degree, you know, just don't piss them off. It takes a lot of time and patience to make a connection with one, but you know, it is possible. And if you do somehow manage to get them on your good side, Kiwoos are incredibly loyal, their love burning just about as bright as their flames. Just watch out for people who might maliciously cross you, as Kiwoos will want to attack in your honor. You know, which is very nice, but you know, legal action can happen, so you know, care for Kiwoos carefully. And there we have it, the final Pokemon of the day, and I love this little grump face. Whereas the other two are just generally cute, this guy you just want to love him because he hates the world. There's just something a little relatable in that, and you just want to give him the comfort and the such. But does this little bundle of anger and feathers fit into the tips? 1, based on a real animal. Yes, kiwi birds are real animals. They don't really look like they should be, but that's just what makes them perfect. 2, cute and friend-shaped, very round, little spiky, but mostly adorable. 3, not too edgy, and we're kind of pushing it a bit with this one. Like, he definitely looks pissed, but I think he's cute enough that it works more as grump than edge, so I think we're good. And 4, gimmick, he is a living flint and steel with the beak that acts as a flamethrower. I mean, if that's not a gimmick, I don't know what is. Now let's see how the first interaction with a Kiwooo went.
Guys, I found some sort of weird structure out here. Looks like a work in progress, but it's coming along. Decent materials, pretty structurally sound. Okay, that's fine. I'll just put this back here, and this one probably went here. Hey! Did you make this? Somebody knocked it over, and I just... No!
They're fine. Probably fine. Definitely probably fine. And those are my art-themed Pokemon. We have the one that draws, the one that colors, and the one that builds. And I really love these guys. I think I did manage to achieve what I was out to do, because I think these Pokemon look pretty standard as to what you'd expect from a general Pokemon, and I don't think you would immediately think, oh, these guys do art. But as we've mentioned, they have a lot of art and creativity running through them, so if you saw them in action, then you would see that. But now I want to hear from you guys, which one of these 3 starters would you pick if you could? Personally, I don't know anymore. I love them all so equally. I want to just grab all 3 of them and take them all. I know that's cheating, but I'm also the one who used the Jackalope as a real animal, so I mean, honestly, where are the limits anymore? I'll just do what I want. They're all just so small and good, and because they don't have evolutions yet, they will stay small and good forever, which, you know, works for me. I don't actually know if I will be designing evolutions myself for them in the future. I think I work better on the small and cute scale. Further anatomy is not my forte. But if you're interested, maybe I'll give it a good old-fashioned think. I admit I am a little curious to see what these guys would turn out to be, but I just don't know if I have faith in my art skill right now. Also, I would just have the tendency to make them look perpetually cute throughout, where I think a lot of Pokemon, especially starters, tend to sort of turn into these big, bulky, beefy guys, and I don't know, I don't really want to go with that format. I want them to stay kind of cute forever. And there are some starters that do that, so I mean, maybe there's still room. Maybe I could. But for now, this is where we are stopping. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.